Sunday mornings in Gardner, Massachusetts are usually quiet. The small New England city, surrounded by dense woodland and historic homes, carries the calm rhythm of suburban life. Church bells echo in the distance. Families gather for breakfast. Children prepare for another ordinary day. But on one Sunday morning in 2023, that peaceful rhythm shattered inside a restored historic home tucked away on a quiet street. Inside that home, 4 children made a discovery that would haunt them forever. Their mother, Brienne Pennington, lay motionless in her bed. At first, the children thought she was sleeping. It wasn't unusual for their mother to rest late after managing a busy household. But something felt wrong. She wasn't responding. She wasn't breathing normally. Panic quickly spread among the siblings. One of them ran outside and alerted neighbors. Within minutes, emergency services were called. First responders arrived expecting a medical emergency. Instead, they stepped into the aftermath of a calculated execution. Brienne Pennington had been shot in the face while lying in her bed. There were no signs of struggle, no forced entry, no desperate attempt to flee. But something or someone was missing. Her husband, Aaron Pennington, was nowhere to be found, and neither was the firearm believed to be used in the killing. That moment would mark the beginning of one of Massachusetts' most chilling and mysterious family homicide cases. When investigators entered the Pennington home, they were struck by how controlled the scene appeared. There was no chaos, no broken glass, no defensive wounds that would suggest a violent confrontation. Brienne appeared to have been attacked while vulnerable, possibly while sleeping. Forensic teams began carefully documenting the room. Blood spatter patterns suggested the fatal shot was fired at close range. The position of Brienne's body indicated she likely had little or no warning. Then, investigators discovered something puzzling. 3 spent shell casings were recovered near the bed, but Brienne had only 1 gunshot wound. This suggested that multiple attempts had been made to fire the weapon before the final shot succeeded. Detectives considered the possibility of misfires or mechanical malfunctions, moments that may have given the killer time to reconsider, but didn't. Another chilling detail soon emerged. The house had been locked and secured from the inside. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence that a stranger had broken into the home. The conclusion investigators began to reach was disturbing but increasingly unavoidable. The killer likely had been someone inside the house, someone Brienne trusted. Someone knew the layout, the routines, and the vulnerabilities of the home. That realization turned attention toward one person, her husband, Aaron Pennington. Friends and family described Brienne Pennington as vibrant, ambitious, and deeply devoted to her children. Known affectionately as Breezy, she had lived a life filled with movement, creativity, and passion. Before moving to Massachusetts, Aaron and Brienne had lived in California. In 2022, they relocated to Gardner with a dream, restoring a historic New England home and building a fresh start for their growing family. Brienne was an accomplished equestrian rider, spending years training and competing in professional riding circles. Horses weren't just a hobby, they were part of her identity. Beyond equestrian sports, she also pursued interests in natural sciences and later developed skills as a makeup artist. She balanced these pursuits while raising 4 children, often juggling multiple roles with remarkable energy. But beneath the surface, cracks in her life were beginning to form. By early 2023, Brienne reportedly felt isolated in Massachusetts. The move had distanced her from friends, family, and familiar support systems. The pressures of motherhood, relocation, and marital tension were taking a toll.
According to investigators and individuals close to her, Brienne had quietly begun planning to leave. She was considering relocating to Texas with her children, hoping to rebuild a support network and escape what she reportedly felt was a deteriorating marriage. It was a secret plan, and investigators would later question whether Aaron had discovered it. Aaron's background presented a complex portrait. He was a former U.S. Air Force aviation specialist, a career that demanded technical precision, discipline, and calm decision-making under pressure. More notably, Aaron had received SIR training, a specialized military program focused on survival, evasion, resistance, and escape techniques. The training prepares personnel to survive in hostile environments, avoid capture, and remain undetected. Those skills would later become deeply relevant to the investigation. By early 2023, Aaron's life had begun unraveling. He lost his job in March of that year, triggering financial stress and emotional instability. Reports later indicated that he struggled with feelings of failure and depression. Some accounts suggested he expressed thoughts of self-harm. The Penningtons were also deeply connected to their religious community. Their faith placed a strong emphasis on the permanence of marriage and family unity. While such beliefs often provide comfort and structure, experts would later suggest that in some cases these pressures can intensify personal crises, particularly when divorce or separation becomes a possibility. Digital records and witness statements painted a troubling picture of Aaron's emotional dependency on Brienne. Investigators later described patterns of possessiveness and difficulty respecting boundaries. As Brienne quietly prepared to leave, tensions inside the marriage escalated, and unknown to her, Aaron may have been planning something far darker. One of the most disturbing discoveries in the case came from Aaron's digital footprint. Investigators obtained access to his iCloud account. Inside, they found a note created the night before Brienne was killed. The contents were horrifyingly methodical. It outlined a step-by-step plan describing how to approach Brienne while she slept. The note included contingency instructions, suggesting Aaron should pretend to be searching for nasal spray if she woke up unexpectedly. And then came a line investigators would later describe as deeply chilling. The note described the intention to make a hole in her head. It was explicit, premeditated, cold. This wasn't an impulsive act of rage. It was a written blueprint for murder. The timeline aligned closely with the crime itself. Security footage from an external camera later captured Aaron leaving the home the morning after Brienne was killed. He drove away in his white BMW at approximately 8:50 a.m. He was alone, and it was the last confirmed sighting of him. The manhunt began quickly. Authorities issued alerts across Massachusetts and neighboring states. The search intensified when Aaron's BMW was discovered abandoned roughly 3 miles from the family home. The vehicle had been left near a dense forested area known as Camp Collier. The location raised immediate concerns. The area is heavily forested, filled with rugged terrain, thick undergrowth, and limited visibility. Ideal conditions for someone attempting to disappear. Law enforcement launched an extensive search operation. Helicopters equipped with infrared technology scanned the forest canopy. Canine units tracked scent trails through miles of wilderness. Search teams combed the terrain for days, but Aaron Pennington was nowhere to be found. Investigators faced a troubling reality. His SIR training made him uniquely capable of surviving off-grid, evading detection, and navigating harsh environments without assistance. Authorities also considered a darker possibility, that Aaron may have taken his own life somewhere within the woods. Despite exhaustive searches, no body, campsite, or confirmed trace of Aaron has ever been found. Criminal psychologists examining the case have drawn comparisons to a known behavioral pattern, sometimes referred to as the family annihilator. These offenders often perceive their families as extensions of their identity and control. When faced with financial collapse, marital breakdown, or loss of status, they may resort to extreme violence as a distorted attempt to regain control or avoid perceived humiliation. In many cases, these crimes involve the killing of spouses and children. In Brienne's case, investigators believe her death may have been linked to Aaron's fear of losing his family and his identity as a husband and father. But one crucial difference remains: the children survived. Instead, they were left to live with the trauma of losing their mother's body and losing their father to disappearance and suspicion.